Good evening and salutations, my JH friends. You know, yesterday I had an entirely different feeling about the scene that we saw today. And in a sense, I gotta give myself donkey as well. Okay? Because I was all pissed off at Dante and being like, who did he think he is? And his attitude and everything like that is definitely misplaced. And da 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 da. And I sat there and I was just like, I must have lost my goddamn mind yesterday. I like, I really did. And I was sitting there saying that stuff in the stream. I was like, oh, you ever just said something that was just so stupid that you woke up the next morning, you're just like, ah, damn. Ugh, that sounded really dumb. Now, I know it's going to be polarizing, right? Did Dante go too far? Was he just being an asshole to Gio and Cody and Lois and whoever else was there? Me? No. I can only imagine I'm living with those same people. My nephew's there, young and everything like that. And that happens to me, right? And instead of Gio calling me when he was at the beach, he decides to just cover it up. And when Cody first saw it, he didn't say anything. I'm going to be pissed off at all of them. I'm going to be pissed off at all of them. And the thing is, Gio's not a kid. Gio is a grown adult. You know? I think he kind of tempered down a little bit on Cody because Cody was the one that realized that his breathing was shallow. And if he didn't do anything, then it would have got a whole lot worse. Right? But, watching your blood like that in the hospital, and you not knowing about it, not just saying you could have stopped or anything like that, but you not knowing about it, and you're gonna be livid. All reality, I'm gonna be honest. Even though that people felt like he was getting angry and upset, that's what you call a level of restraint. Okay, that's what you call a serious level of restraint. There's a couple of times where Dante was going at Gio like, how come you didn't call me? What was going on? Why didn't you sit there and call me? Why did you sit there and cover this up for? Cody stepped in, Lois stepped in, and he went at them as well. And then there's one point where after he sees his son, finds out the news, um, and Lulu is just sitting there with Rocco. Goes out and he talks to Gio and he talks to Lois. He's like, hey, I want to sit there and see y'all both just kind of somewhere away. At first I thought I was like, okay, fine. You're just going to sit there and talk to Gio. But then you bring Lois. And you already saw that Lois is already meant to being super protective, constantly jumping in. There's one point where Lois is like, it's not like, Gio made him drink or anything like that, which he didn't. But you knew. It doesn't matter. The sad thing, and I hate to sit there and say it because I sound like a hypocrite from yesterday, but like, yeah, he didn't make him drink. But once he was drinking, you should have called Dante right then and there. And that's where he's like, what, listen, tell me the story from the beginning. And at first I was like, why is he telling you the story from the beginning? You literally said it, but mine is racing. You want to sit there and cool down and kind of just go through it again. And every time that Dante's up there scolding Gio, Lois steps in. And it gets to a point, he just gets pissed off. He's like, okay, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop sitting there trying to cover this whole thing up for Gio. Gio's not a kid. And, they're going back and forth. And, at this point, Lulu was like, let me get out there because I know that Dante's going to fly off the handle. Now Lois is looking at this whole thing and watching Dante go hard on his son. There's a point where she's like, you don't know who Gio is or something like that. And of course, Lulu just kind of just snipped in the background. Now, later on, Lulu, I'm assuming for the previews that she's like, you went too far. Listen, they got clearly different parenting styles or whatever, or maybe they just got different coping mechanisms and they just reacted differently. But in all reality, you see your son, you see your niece or whatever there lying in the hospital, and you know that they didn't even bother to sit there and tell you. And even though they can sit there and come with a million excuses, I was scared, I thought it wasn't that bad, da 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 da, that's not going to matter. I guarantee you that is not going to matter. So for me personally, I saw where Dante was coming from, and yeah, he handled that with restraint. Like he really did. People thought that he was going too far. Trust me, when it comes towards your loved ones, your blood, I don't know if there's such a thing as going too far. Okay, unless you're unaliving somebody else, but other than that, yeah. Um. So Brad sits there and says, "Hey, listen, I can tell you who drugged you for the right price. 500,000. It was Portia. Uh, bro, he didn't even deposit. Yo, he can just do take backs. You go like, psych. Then what? Then what? What if he sit there and say, psych, I was just playing, but thank you for the information. But, he could tell, you knew that he wanted to screw over Portia bad. He wanted to screw over Portia bad. He was like, he practically looked at Drew after that. He was like, burn her life to the goddamn ground. I'm personally here for it. Wasn't that long. She was sitting there looking at that video on probably YouTube and TikTok, just laughing away at her desk, during her breaks and everything like that. And when Drew burns her life down, I want to sit there and see how funny it is. I want to see how funny that is. Now, he does tell Brad to do one more thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm here for it. I am here for all of it. So, Diane comes to Alexis' place. Alexis still has that knife and opens the door with the knife or whatever. But, here's the thing. She does sit there and say, hey, Molly and Christina are upset with me because of the whole committed papers or whatever. But I'm surprised that she didn't go more hard and be like, I could have swore I told you to destroy those papers, shred them. No particular reason why you didn't do that. She's just more like, what, listen, it is what it is. You can't do anything about that. Right? But she's also like, she doesn't know that I know what she tried to do to Ava. And I want to keep it that way. Now, Christina is not there talking to Lucky about, she's pissed and she's like, Mom Duke's trying to commit me. But then when she starts into saying, well, there was the whole baby thing, and then there was the whole recent thing, and then there was the whole, when we into saying like Irene and a different series of events, Lucky's like, yeah, like, yeah, I can kind of see why she wanted to commit you. I can kind of see why she wanted to commit you. And at first, Christine's like, "Well, you think that's a good idea too? What do you think? I'm crazy?" Well, I don't know. You sat there and you tried to cut the brakes to your sister's mother's car, and if Donna would just happen to be in the car or whatever, like you try to kill someone. I mean, does that sound like something a normal person would do? But Lucky's just like, listen, show some grace. Like you said, you've been going through a lot. Your mother has seen you been going through a lot. It would make sense that she's only trying to do this out of love. And she did sit there and change her mind, so, Meanwhile, you got, I almost want to call him Pinky in the Brain at this point, but you got Rick and Ava. And what happened? There's a point where Rick tells Ava, "Oh, by the way, I let Alexis know about our blackmailing scheme or whatever. This way, she can know how to properly divide funds or whatever." And Ava's like, in the future, you can just come to me instead of just going straight to Alexis. Now, he went straight to Alexis to make sure that he got his cut because he was like, "Yo, listen, I know that we doing the whole 11 in the afternoon, but I don't trust your ass. Boy, I don't trust your ass with my money. I mean, you say you're going to sit there and give me a cut, but you could be like, oops, I'll get you on the next one, bro." No, we ain't doing that. And he made sure that he had a shell corporation. And when they got to the house, he was like, "You can deposit this in this account, you can deposit that in that account." And pretty much, long story short, Rick like, "Yeah, you have to sit there and pay us more money." I'm like, "You two idiots." See, this is like what I'm sitting there talking about. Y'all are trying to get so much money so fast that Alexa's like, somebody's going down. Somebody's going down. And when they do, and I go down, you're going down with me. And Rick is like, "Well, if we go down and you go down, you know damn well Christina's going down, and that's not going to happen." I'm like, "Okay." You keep sitting there pushing it, and your ass will be going to jail. Her ass will be going to jail. She's not Superwoman. There's only so much that she can do. And you're a lawyer. You should know that. But okay, y'all two want to sit there and keep getting greedy and greedy and greedy and greedy. And I cannot wait till this blows up in their face. At this point, I'm like, I think Alexis should just tell the truth. And then I guess Ava had to sit there and start worrying about her money problems again. Womp womp. Like, that's how I see that working. Um, at some point, Cody Gio talks to Danny. Carly goes over to the house and really just, talks to him and kind of disciplines him in a sense because, you know, again, this is why I sit there and say, I'm kind of getting this donkey. Before, well, when Carly was like, "So tell me what happened." And Danny was like, "Yeah, we were drinking and everything like that. And then I went to go play volleyball." And he kind of stayed. So I'm like, "So you just left him? You decided that you want to go drinking and you decided to drag him. It was your idea. Drag him there, and then you just left him. You just left him to fend for himself." And I remember before I was like, I said something along the lines of, "Well, listen, you want to sit there and be a party pooper? You just do you. He gonna sit there and hang out with some girls." And yeah, I can kind of realize just how stupid that sounds now. So listen, here's the thing: when I always sit there and say that no one is spared the rod, no one is spared the rod. Not even me. Everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. I even get it. Okay? That's how that works. So when I sit there and say no one is spared the rod, that means nobody across the 5 shows and me as well. Um it seems like the surgery was a success. Kai woke up when Portia and Trina was looking over him. They were talking and he seemed like he's excited for his future. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. I mean, listen, I wish I could sit there and put more energy when it comes towards Trina and Kai, but I don't care. Like I don't care. He was grateful to Drew, and of course Trina has some sort of smart remark about him, like, "Yeah, okay, it's not like you were going to be sitting there paying for that cost of the surgery, so." But ultimately, like I said, I didn't care. I mean, here's the thing: I feel like they didn't put any energy, any effort whatsoever when it came towards Khan. I felt like, again, here's the thing: I want him to be more than just Trina's black boyfriend. Okay, I really do. That's what it really comes down to. Um, and I know when people keep saying when Spencer comes in, I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." I don't really see that happening. I will sit there and say it's like maybe a 10% if they do. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they, the sad thing is that I'm kind of blah about it. But if they do that, it could wind up being really good. But then we're just gonna sit through a Rory situation all over again. And to be honest, they seem like I guess it's not really that different. I was gonna sit there and say it seems like with Kai, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Um, I'm gonna be honest. This is just from what I heard from the grapevine, and also the energy that I got from when I was watching JOJ Media. He wanted doing an interview with him, and I'm just gonna be honest. He seemed like he was all too happy, but to sit there and leave that show. Now, I could be wrong. That's just my interpretation. But when I saw that interview, I was like, and I think he was sitting there making fun or like jokes or whatever about the holster. And the jokes just kind of implied like how they didn't really seem like they invested into the Rory character that much. And now we got Kai. So, you know. Let's see. Let's see. I feel like there's more to it. I just can't remember what it is. Oh well. I feel like that's pretty much about it. I mean, the point is, like I said, Carly, you know, she was fair. You know, she was hard on. She was as hard on Danny as she needed to be. And you know, during the live stream, we were sitting there talking about, you know, maybe Lulu, or probably at this point, Dante is going to not want Danny anywhere near Rocco, right? And I know people could be like, well, you know, they were just kids, they were just young, they were doing something. He almost lost his son. Okay, so like that's like the whole young and dumb shit is just not gonna fly with him. Okay, he was upset with the older adults. Now I don't think he's gonna fly off the handle in the same way with Danny. He's definitely gonna make that shit clear to Carly. He's going to make that shit clear to Jason. To yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have. I'm not going to be doing a live stream tonight. I'm going to sit there and actually take a rest night. Um, but I will be back tomorrow, though. Usual time. You know how we do. And we'll talk about this episode. We'll talk about tomorrow's episode as well as the 5 episodes or 4 other shows from today and the 5 shows from tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.